Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO DC Supervillains. So we've done everything as far as I can tell in the overworld, and that's gotten us up to this point now. We're at 83.7%. We have all the red bricks, we have most of the characters, we have most of at least more than half of the gold bricks. We still have graffiti things to do. We have all 9 statues. We still have true supervillains and mini kits to do. This, like every LEGO game that has an open world, creates this weird situation where the open world feels like it is just made by a completely different team. And for LEGO DC Supervillains, it feels like the DLC was also made by a different team. And it feels like the main developer of the story mode content is probably the worst. Lobo says the big honcho totally left his space hog on the Armageddon rally track. Beat my time and maybe I'll let you borrow it. Well, this is gonna suck because that implies to me that there is a race that is like unlocked on Apocalypse, and so we're gonna have to travel to Apocalypse to see if that's the case. But we've done all the challenges and it says 100% of the races have been finished. Armageddon Raceway. Lobo basically is the last character that we unlocked. Let's just be careful here and make sure we're going to the right place, because Armageddon Raceway could be basically anywhere. I had planned to jump into a level, but now we've gotten immediately distracted. Yeah, the open world concept just doesn't really work for LEGO games. It's just not the thing. I must have already done the race before they even did that email notification. Yeah, there's only 2 racers here. So I don't even know. Maybe there wasn't actually a race connected to that message, and maybe Lobo was just saying something silly. Now, it is worth pointing out that there is one last helicopter character vehicle that we haven't unlocked, and I assumed that that was going to be a helicopter that unlocks when we unlock one last character. Not to say that the characters that are left to unlock are particularly even important characters. Like, here's Lobo Space Hog. So I feel like that just unlocked when we unlocked Lobo, and the email implies that there was going to be something more to that, and that you're going to have to earn it. And noticeably, this Space Hog does not seem to just fly in the air, which is kind of ironic, because if we can find Lobo as a character, where is he hiding? Over here. He does fly in the air with just like perfect can pause abilities, riding this space dolphin. So you can go up and you can go down. So if there was any like races you needed for a character to get through the race, Lobo is probably a very good choice. He's got a targeting shot, but he doesn't have any laser beams. Alright, well, let's not get distracted here. We were going to go through the story levels, and so that is what we'll do. And for this case, I think it probably will just make better content if we go through all of the story sections instead of trying to be exclusive about it. Now, we also are in a very different position now, where since almost every character has been unlocked, they could give me a collection of characters that I'm just not familiar with and I don't know their abilities. And we know there's way too many abilities in this game. Or they may just give us the same default characters over and over again. That group of characters didn't seem like that was too random. Now, what we aren't going to do is sit through all these cutscenes. It's also important to point out that I've jacked up the brightness by 75%. So, yeah. All of these story levels, very small and narrow. So we have our custom character, we have this guy, this guy, this guy, and Batman. I guess there's kind of a high diversity there. We also have all the attract studs, installed multipliers, and character token, detector, demolition mode, fast interaction, super slap, and the most important one should be the mini kit detector. Yeah, that's all on. So the goal here is not going to be to rerun through the whole story, particularly since we're skipping the cutscenes. It is going to be to try to accomplish as much as possible, as fast as possible. I don't think Lex as a character, and of course Lex will have been written by multiple people. Interesting, he can only hover up. So do we have anybody that can fly? Yeah, Black Lightning can fly. I don't think he is written quite as well as he could have been, in the sense that that his way of thinking could potentially be only slightly flawed, in that he doesn't trust Superman because he's an alien, and that there very well may be a reason to not trust just random aliens or super powerful characters that are promising to do good. Always. The problem with it is Superman is trustworthy, and it seems to me like they didn't have to fall down to just the general idea that Lex Luthor just wants power and he's just manipulating. This guy has Mirror Master abilities. He's just manipulating people in the hopes of becoming President Superman, I mean the President, like Luthor, and being fully in charge. This is funny, there's an invisible wall here, but it's not super obvious that this is a window. So if you had, say, Lex Luthor kind of retroactively working with, say, the I think her name is Amanda Waller, the lady who runs Suicide Squad, and he was capturing a lot of bad villains and proving them to actually be bad guys. And if he was very consistently finding that some bad guys were pretending to be good guys and working tirelessly to expose like all superheroes as frauds, and successful at that idea, exposing a lot of superheroes who were frauds, then you could see how Superman might be this white whale character with Lex Luthor being a Captain Nemo character. I'm hoping I don't move the story forward accidentally. And if Lex Luthor had more of a reason to specifically distrust Superman, then he would be a better written character too. I think that's Psycho Pirate back there. We don't need any studs, by the way. It honestly would make a lot of sense for there to be some early interaction in which a young Superman, Superboy, failed to save somebody or made the decision to save somebody and let, say, Lex Luthor's father or mother die. Could be something simple as there was like a car accident and Superman couldn't move fast enough to save both, so he saved Lex Luthor and let his parents die. And you could see a nice kind of comparison there in which the Lex Luthor would have preferred that his parents survive and him die, and there you have just a conflict in survivor's guilt, I suppose would be the best way to do it. And you could make it even more balanced where it's not like the parents, but Lex Luthor could have had a sister. They both could have been in a car crash with both of them very equally in danger of dying, and Superman just had to pick one, just a coin flip. And this fictional Lex Luthor sister but you just don't get any kind of backstory like that. Yes, in the Smallville show, which is at this point a very old show and not particularly canonical, there's a lot more of Lex Luthor and Superman, but as far as Superman origins and Lex Luthor origins, there just isn't really that much. Did we get everything in this area? feel like we had probably already done everything that needed to be done to get to this point a long time ago. This is a great example of where the levels themselves could have led to more open world sections and at least visually could have felt like they were better integrated into the open world. But it's not really the case. Here we can see we're in one part of Stryker's Island where we started, and we're just going to another part of Stryker's Island, which in the overworld really doesn't exist. And we can see a fake version of the metropolis in the background with nothing, like, nothing really happening there. And they never even, like, try that again. So even this idea kind of falls apart. There could have been more of this, more levels with that outside feeling and that overworld connecting feeling. But you do have to remember, a lot of these levels take place in completely different locations. And it's not like I even have really a solution to that problem. I just don't know how you integrate the overworld and a narrative story Lego game. I think what often happens as games get pushed to have overworlds, you end up then putting little mini activities in the overworld instead of focused activities that work towards an overall goal or that narratively make any sense. We also have kind of a considerable amount of, like, monster closets in which enemies are spawning. Which I don't think they really keep up with that idea either. You're kind of obliged to break everything because you never know what one thing might lead to a 1 of 5 collectible. And to have the larger groups of people then separate them is weird.
I have a feeling things are about to get wild.
Which of our characters can eliminate? This guy can. Very noticeably, I'm not seeing any arrow point towards a... I'm just not seeing arrows point to mini kits. We do have mini kits in this level that we need to collect. In fact, that's the last thing we need to do. So, potentially there would be an argument to exit out the level and try and find the 4 remaining mini kits. Nothing is going to get me through that area. This ladder lets you climb up. And then this gives you a platform to potentially glide. To then mess with the computer. There really is just no way these puzzles are going to get any faster because we don't have a cheat. There is no cheat available to make those interactions faster, which arguably having the cheat of fast interactions probably should allow you to instant solve. Yeah, this is also the level with a lot of annoying speakers. And so this internal design of Striker's Island, made as a level, doesn't really make the most amount of sense that you couldn't also integrate that into the open world. Which I've said before, but that is how I would lean as far as design, is that I would try to have very big one-to-one ratios, scale, maybe a little bit less than one-to-one scaled buildings like this level, and that would be the vast majority of what the open world content would be. Is you would get into a building, run through the building, and then you would have a lot of square footage taken up by buildings, and if you were not interested in going inside a building, then there would just be fairly boring roads. It's always been this little problem though with these Lego levels too, in that you just never really know what you need to do and what you don't need to do, or what order you need to do things in. So I'm a little afraid that I might do an activity and it might move the whole story forward. This whole Amazo project connection to our custom character never really got touched upon because our custom character was revealed to be from Earth 3. Hold YX, what? Even the game can't make up its mind. Okay. You are having a weird situation here also where you're swapping between a lot of characters, and a lot of these characters don't even feel like they were amongst the main group of characters that you started with. We're also not getting the minikit detector pointing towards the speakers, so I don't know if I haven't already collected a minikit. So on the speakers. I'm breaking all the red speakers. It doesn't seem like there are any more red speakers that you could even be broken, and it doesn't seem like we can really go back up, and there is something way up there, so we're gonna have to do this whole level a second time. Alright. Let's go and absorb this and do the mini game. $690 million studs. That unlocks the heat beam, which we already had, but the story wanted us to do it anyways. Wow, that just randomly teleported me. So we got a puzzle over there. I'm just getting wrecked by random police characters. Got a super strength over here. They're trying to just go through the greatest hits of all abilities. Yeah, it seems like I just have missed at least two. And the arrow pointing up there seems particularly unfair. I can't fly around or do anything like that, so if this ends the level, just gonna have to jump back into the level and try again. And any progress, if I did need to break all 5 of the red speakers, would be reset, almost certainly.
Superman. I'm guessing a campfire is...
So now we're at a different checkpoint completely, and in a different place because now we're in Gotham City. As if it looks like the implication is we stole the Batcopter. So Stryker's Island would probably be somewhere, I would say it might be somewhere just in the direction where my character is facing, that way, quite a far distance. In this case, the goons are just standing still. They're not like beating on walls or breaking things. You jump on that, then you jump on that, and you jump on that to bring that down. Very possibly I could just switch to a flying character though. and fly around. Let's just see how fast you could probably get through this whole section. So, yeah. There's strikers behind the building. This is another example of having fake open world city in the background, although I would say it's particularly bad in the case of Gotham because Gotham is too dark even with the brightness jacked up. I do see one mini kit up here, and I question if we even got to this point in the story mode. This whole top area may just be the extra area, which, if that's the only extra area in the entire level, which it seems like it kind of is, that's pretty pathetic. So yeah, we didn't get everything, obviously. And that is the one thing the mini-kit detector is supposed to prevent. It's supposed to stop you from running into that situation. Now take note also, we started at about 6.5 billion studs, and very quickly we are going to end up going through to 10, 20, maybe 40 to 60 studs. I guess we'll get different picture-perfect pictures with different characters if they start giving us more random assortments of characters. Character tokens also we need to keep an eye out for. And notice there is no retry option, so the game is going to waste a lot of time having us load to the overworld just to load out of the overworld back into the level. Where ideally you would prefer to have the overworld always loaded and never unloaded if you just have infinite amount of RAM. And for the PC version of this game, since I have like 64 gigabytes of RAM, you could pretty much do that. You still would have to load in visual textures because I don't have a ton of video card RAM. Cheshire is from New Teen Titans Annual number 2 in 1983. Highly skilled, ruthless agent for hire. Little is known about Cheshire, apart from her reputation as one of the most dangerous people in the world. Working for many different criminal groups over the years, Cheshire is a master of martial arts and particularly proficient in the use of poison. Okay. Does that any matter? So, we know it is in Metallo's cell, even if I didn't know it was Metallo that was in the cell. I thought that was Amazo in that cell. And since we're loading in a different section, you would expect that a different cutscene would pop up here. But I'm not sure that's really the case. Okay. We are in free play mode. here it is. So that is being emphasized more. And we see the arrows. That's 3, there's 2 more in the rest of the level. Get the laser to go down. We need to do what? Just want to do this as fast as possible. It definitely feels like the game has given me the same collection of free play characters. These animations are so slow. There's like, the best way to speed it up would probably be to just go in circles, spinning everything 2 times, and then spinning the lower left one 3 times. And nothing's gonna slow down these in-app things. Now, when you fly down here, there is an Easter egg on the left of what looks like Brainiac. That's what that looks like, but you can't interact with it or do anything, so... yeah. A lot of slow. Let's see. Slow in-game cutscenes, slowing down the whole process. And a lot of slow characters that, when you have played these levels 2 or 3 times already, are not really the way you wanted to go. Alright, so let's exit this level, save and exit. I had hoped that we would get through 3, 4, maybe even 5 levels in an episode, but at this rate we are going to take longer. So with all the mini kits we get the Daily Planet, we'll have to remember to go check out the Daily Planet pictures. I also need to check out the customizer once we've unlocked all the characters. Although inherently that does point out a problem in that you're really going to have content in the open world that is only interactable once you've unlocked 100% of the game and done everything. Like, so potentially making a custom character after you've collected every single collectible and done everything in the open world is ridiculous. Or looking at all the Daily Planet pictures, it's gonna be really ridiculous. Here's the character customizer, his Daily Planet. I don't think there's anything else you really need to interact with. Cheat codes. It is possible that there's some cheat codes in some LEGO games that would unlock unique characters, but even if there was a unique character, it really wouldn't be that interesting of a character. There's nobody in this long list of characters that feels like they're missing. Swamp Thing, perhaps. is the one character I'd say it would make some sense for him to exist. And notably, he is missing. But then you get him in the DLC there, so that addresses that. I guess we can only just cross our fingers and hope that we go further. The good news is the character icon and the 3 minifigs in this level are all in this first section, so we might take considerably less time because of that. Now they have just given me a slightly different collection of characters.
Hey, Lois, I got it working.
Sure, Jimmy. Give me a minute here.
International award-winning reporter, Miss Lois Lane. Hot heels of a hot story.
Hello? No, I'm trying to contact Jim.
If this wasn't a kids game, I would have hoped these cutscenes had like more of a narrative idea. But like let me rephrase that. Even though this is a kids game, the story really should have a better narrative story it tells, but if this wasn't a kids game, I would have wanted to see more twists and surprises and a more complicated story to tell. But there is definitely a simplistic story you could have tried to tell, like something that was just more connected and consistent. It may very well have been a very cheesy story in which Superman goes, those Justice Society guys are bad and we've got to stop them because they're bad, and things like that. I guess the general idea is you have to go through here. They basically tell you in the first level that the Justice Society is evil. And then they spend the rest of the game teasing that they're looking for something until you get to the point where they reveal what they're looking for is the boom tube that they foreshadowed and showed very early in the first level, and then they don't really explain what the boom tube is well enough. And they don't really explain the idea that the boom tube has the anti-life equation. So yeah, for a kid's story, it might have been very helpful if the Justice Society got on a call in a cutscene with Darkseid and told them and Darkseid gave them direct orders to pretend like they're good guys and search for the anti-life equation. And then it would have, for a kid's story, made a lot of sense if somebody would have asked specifically what the anti-life equation was. Why was it so important? But had they just very early in the story introduced every character and the general plot. They could have expanded on the plot at a better pace. That's my feeling, at least. Maybe you don't reveal the dark side is dark side. Maybe you just say the boss wants us to look for his equation, his anti-life equation. The Psycho is obsessed with death. Got 2 elevators. You can't ride the elevators. You got the collectibles. So what is it that I need to do? Am I supposed to, like, Joker, Riddler control this guy? Interesting, they're not shooting at the Riddler. They did shoot at Batman. That's yet another great example of the game being very poorly designed. Exact same ability, only one specific character works. Just run over here and it scares them, I guess. And then we put in the scarecrow gas. You have all these wanted Joker posters and Riddler posters in the background, and they really don't do anything with that. Wouldn't it make all the sense in the world for those wanted posters to be all over the overworld, and you would have a tear it down animation? You could have put little Lego studs in the corners, holding them up like push pins, and then you could have broken the poster as a whole, and it would be somewhat Lego-y. Or you could have had much larger, scaled up wanted posters, at least made out of Lego dots. Alright. And our character that we're going to unlock here is just Jim Gordon, so it's not going to be a particularly interesting character to play as. And it really is just so much easier to play these games with demolition mode on in most scenarios. In this case, they are programmed to run and punch on the walls. We can see plastic man. You can climb up here. But you needed to be on that spot to get through here. You see these little vending machines, and honestly would have made a lot of sense for vending machines to be yet another thing in the overworld that could be broken. Okay, that opens that part. Then you have this weird section that I think this was definitely a bad mistake, to have a drone that is bigger show up when you already had established that Batman had a remote controlled drone and Joker had a remote controlled chattering teeth. They're being crazy with the idea of drones. And if they were going to do that, then you probably should take those kinds of remote controlled drones and have them flying throughout all the overworld. That's yet another thing, another challenge that could have existed, where
Another clue.
where you could have broken all the drones. Like, there could have been 20 drones throughout the overworld in high places. That would have given you an excuse to have characters fly up more. The drones could potentially shoot at you when you're going to high places. Let's make sure we don't have everything. A lot of people to fight around this whole section. I think I may have already done everything.
Perhaps one of the others deal with
Let's
it.
just see what is behind this wall.
This will be no challenge for the Prince of Puzzlers.
So you have a goon here. And that would have been the way that you would have worked your way around. And then you gotta get that prompt to get this guy. Open that. And see, I think the assumption to make here is that that's the end of this level. And so if that's the end of that section of the level, then that should be the end of everything we need to do in this level. And then you have a very drastic jump there from Gotham City Police Department to the Penguin Lounge. And it really hits a point where even if it wouldn't have been good gameplay content, it would have just been good connecting material to have us walk through the open world from point A to point B. If not, have some kind of chase or race in between those two sections. And I'm just crossing my fingers to make sure, to hope we got everything. Got 4 out of 4 gold bricks. Whole bunch of characters unlocking. Or a whole bunch of characters unlocked to begin with. Which maybe, if you were going to have connecting material where you were moving between one point and another, maybe that would have been a good point for you to unlock some new characters. So here we have Commissioner Gordon. He has projectile rebound and illumination and detective mode and sonar and technology and tracking, which that's not a terrible collection of abilities. Originally from Chicago, Jim Gordon moved to Gotham City and joined the GCPD. However, finding corruption everywhere, he made it a mission to clean up the streets of his new home. Eventually being promoted to the rank of commissioner, Jim now works alongside the mysterious Batman. He first appeared in Detective Comics number 27, 1939. And at a certain level, I guess they talk about corruption being everywhere in the Gotham Police Department originally, but it doesn't feel like that's still an issue. And maybe it would make some sense for there to be a high level of corruption in the Gotham Police Department, and that being something more to the whole Gotham universe. Although, in fairness, in comics, you're not going to have entire comics following Commissioner Gordon so much. He is a secondary character, so his day-to-day life is just not going to be shown. So, yeah. We started in the first level, here, in this building. Halfway through this building, they implied that there was a bridge over to another building over here, which is completely missing, or that this building was separated in some way, and it clearly is not. It really would not make a lot of sense for Stryker Island to not be an island, although in fairness, I'm not even sure you would describe this as an island so much. There's technically a small amount of water around everything, but I don't know if you'd really call that an island. But from this point, we go down, and that's where we get Metallo. So, it wouldn't have been a terrible idea to free Metallo and start here, and then perhaps have a flying cutscene in which they stole a Batmobile, a Batplane, to this point here, where we saw a crashed Batplane there. Just, even if there's just like no gameplay between those two spots, it would have kept the open world visuals and narratives to make more sense. And it didn't even feel like in the cutscene it was explaining that too much. And ideally, if you were going to make some game and you had the Batplane, then you would have it be on rails, going like over here, maybe flying around Amusement Mile, flying all the way through Gotham with people screaming, whoever's flying it, the Joker flying it, like flying all the way here to, you probably wouldn't want to get too close to Wayne Manor, but maybe close enough that you could see it. Fly around to Ace Chemicals. Just give a general, let's establish the city. Also, maybe not do it in the rain and in the darkness. And then you would potentially just make a big loop and come this way. And then crash here. From that point, you then climb to the top of this part, and then that gets you on a helicopter that would either be going that way or that way. Kind of doesn't matter. But from the helicopter point, then it might make a lot of sense to fly in a different circle, maybe go a little bit lower and play more with verticality, flying around through here, maybe through here looks good, all the way through there if you could squeeze that all the way through there, all the way through here. And these are just like random spots I'm picking, and then that would take you to the botanical garden, so that's not the direction you're even supposed to be going. So maybe it would make a little bit more sense to start here from this clock tower and then fly in more of a downward crashing way this direction, down here, and then not towards that, but over here to the Gotham City Police Department. So just a slight crash to land there. Or maybe you don't crash this time, maybe you actually land and start at the top of the Gotham City PD. And then from the Gotham City PD, part of the level, and this is 2 levels and we've already gone to 3 places. It would make a lot of sense to do this race, or something like this race, and get in a car and stay on the ground, racing through this part, and then this part, and racing and being chased. Maybe this way. Nope, that wouldn't work. You'd have to be kind of linear in the direction you come, but a chase cutscene. You could put some minifig part pieces during these races, if not character tokens. Then something that's collectible, or you could just have the race sequences be transitional sequences, and then that would lead to you ending up here. In all fairness, the levels are too small anyway, so it wouldn't have hurt for them to have broken the first 2 levels into 4 levels. That is effectively what you're doing when you have subchapters anyways. But yeah, Stryker's Island is this 2, then Gotham Clock Tower, then GCPD, then Iceberg Lounge. And having just played those levels while skipping the cutscenes, I would not have been able to... I wouldn't be surprised if most players wouldn't have been able to tell you where those levels took place. And that only gets worse once we get to other levels that are distinctively in different locations. Like Oa No, for instance, is in Oa. There's no way to get to Oa in the overworld. But I guess that, at that point, is all I can really say. We're at 8 billion. Let's see, we still didn't unlock this last vehicle, whatever it's going to be. And we are just making bits of progress as far as getting mini kits and getting gold bricks. And it really won't take that long until we're at 100%. It's just going to be a matter of how slow each level is. We also made progress in the graffiti stuff. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's a bunch of support links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.